can't unsee what you've seen.
It's happy hour. Okay, we just day drank.
So when we talk about you gambling and having an issue,
This is what we're talking about. Do not buy another JVA warranty until you've looked at the Caddie Workmanship Guarantee Program.
We're kicking ass and taking names, apparently.
Caddie Shack.
Oh my God. What is up, Caddie Shack?
We're back.
Super excited to be here. We've got one of my good friends, lifelong friends here.
100%.
And we're going to talk all things restaurant. We've been very heavy restaurant lately. I think it's because we've opened one.
Yeah, a lot of restaurant stuff happening.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
My life is all restaurants.
Your life is all restaurants. We the idea, Austin, behind the Caddie Shack pod is that we want to, one, introduce people to just the world and talk about what they're doing, but it's fun just to have friends on here too. And so these kind of get a little bit off rail where we start with a nice outline or whatever, but then we just kind of talk through stuff.
Let's go, baby.
It's just a big conversation, so I'm super pumped to have you here.
Dude, I'm excited to be here.
It is so exciting.
I was thinking on the drive over the first time that I met you.
Yeah.
And I think I remember it. We were in 6th grade, and you were wearing black Jinkos.
Dude.
Do you remember the black Jinkos?
Brandon was a skater guy.
100%.
Sure.
I do remember this. It wasn't 6th grade. It was before that, but 6th grade. I'll tell you when it was. But 6th grade, here's a funny story on those Jinkos. My parents would not let me wear Jinkos.
Same.
Do you guys remember Jinkos?
Yeah, we weren't allowed. We weren't allowed to have them.
No.
I never had them.
So what I would do is I would pack them into my bright orange backpack, and I would get to school and I would change in the morning.
Yes.
Into my Jinkos, and I'll never forget. My parents picked me up early from school one day, unbeknownst to me, and I come to the office where you meet them, and I'm in these Jinkos, and my dad's like, So
Yeah.
That was my brother Chris.
Chris. Yeah. So here's where I think we actually met. And maybe I'm wrong here. When did you guys move to Highland Village area?
So we were there in 91. So, we went to...
Okay, so same time.
Yeah.
So because you went to McAuliffe.
yeah.
For kindergarten, kindergarten?
Kindergarten and 1st grade.
So that's when, before we split so where Austin and I grew up was a growing area. We had 1 or 2 elementary schools to start. I think there's Highland Village and McAuliffe.
Yeah.
And you guys went to McAuliffe before you guys opened
Before we
up.
went to Heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was there. I'm trying to think what the teacher done. I would be crazy if I could pull it off. But you guys were there kindergarten, 1st grade, and went, I think, to 2nd grade and
2nd grade at Heritage.
to
Yeah.
Heritage. So we would have been classmates at some point. Do you remember, is there any way you remember your teachers from that far ago?
Man, I could tell you Miss Davis was my 2nd grade teacher.
I remember Miss Davis. No, Miss Davis was,
She was Heritage. I don't remember McAuliffe.
I don't either. I'm trying to think. Kirkland? Does that sound like a name?
Maybe.
I think Chris and I might, I don't know.
Miss Stripmatter, my 4th grade teacher, was pretty amazing.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out if you're out there.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what's crazy about you're down in Dallas now. I moved back to Flower Mound area, and it's wild how many of our old teachers or principals or assistant principals. Unfortunately, I spend a lot of time with the principals, so I see them all the time.
Yeah, Buddy Bonner.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that dude.
Miss Nichols. Oh yeah,
It's so funny to see him. And then,
so good.
Do you run into any of your teachers from Tulsa down here in the Dallas area?
No.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, there's no telling. They probably hated me back in the day. I remember a couple of good ones, right? You have those teachers that I think would come to your soccer games or stuff like that were really involved. I remember some of those, but then there's a few where it's who was my teacher that year? I don't know.
Well, I think we all share a funny similarity. We were all, I'm not going to say bad kids by any means. We were fun.
Love-hated.
Love-hated. Very much love-hated.
Yeah.
We were a lot of work for the teachers, but we really loved those teachers too.
100%.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. But somehow out of all that, we've made it. We found kind of our calling. And now that we're, 40 years old.
40
almost,
this year, October. Yeah.
November for me. So we're getting old.
No, bro, we are old.
Marty.
We are old. We are
I'm
old.
already there, boys. It feels different. Yeah, just wait.
I woke up this morning and my back hurt because I slept weird.
Yeah. I don't booze anymore, but I woke up with a hangover this morning. I'm like, what is wrong with me? It's just old and bad sleep. This is terrible. But anyway, so we've made it though, kind of a little bit. We're out here kind of living our lives, going through our journeys, and that's what I want to talk about today. Austin, it's your story to tell, but I've been so impressed watching your progress from what you've done to where you're at. It's incredible. In fact, part of my inspiration for getting into this was watching, kind of the stuff that you've done. So
awesome, dude. Thank you.
Tell us about it. What's your background, your story up to this point, and we'll kind of chime in on that.
Man, I'll jump into it. Dude, mine is kind of the old-fashioned story. Started at the bottom and literally just kind of worked my way up little by little by little by little. Yeah, dude, I can tell you when it started. I gotten back from college that I flunked out.
Okay.
I was 18.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school? What?
I went to Midwestern State in Wichita Falls.
Okay.
Our GM for Mexican Oak is Midwestern State alum.
Okay, yeah. That was an interesting experience. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Very different from Flower Mound.
Very different from Flower Mound. I'd been back 7 hours, and I got arrested at a party.
What?
Yeah, in Flower Mound. And for evading arrest and public intoxication.
Oh, no.
Both well-deserved.
Yeah, you took off?
Yeah,
You didn't make it. So you
well-deserved.
ran, didn't make it.
Yeah.
You pulled a Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. And my dad came and picked me up from Flower Mound. Harold, Big H.
Oh.
And he was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm not going back to college, so I'm going to go get a job.
Yeah.
And he dropped me off at 2499 and 407 at that shopping center where the Target was.
Yeah.
And Chris, my brother Chris, worked at Starbucks.
Okay.
I was like, I'm going to go in there and apply. Go in there and apply. And I'm walking back just down that line of just that giant strip center.
Yeah.
And do you remember a girl named Danny that we went to high school with?
Danny.
She was in track. I think she was a twin. She had a brother.
Probably. I would
Female
have to think.
Danny.
Yeah.
But I'm walking by Pazzo's Pizza, and she comes out, and she's like, oh, my God, Austin. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, just got out of jail, and I'm looking for a job. So I went. She's like, oh, my God, come in. And I applied there at Pazzo's Pizza in Flower Mound. That was my first, restaurant job. But I'd worked at a bakery, worked at Quiznos.
Yeah.
I made the best sandwiches.
Oh, I miss Quiznos. What happened to Quiznos?
Are
they gone?
Yeah, they're gone, man. I think there's one left.
Great sandwiches.
You did love Quiznos.
I love Quiznos.
Evan's like a weird sandwich guy. That's like Schlotsky's, Quiznos. all this stuff.
I think they're great. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them all for different
The French dip, the Quiznos French dip, that was it. That was
Dude,
it.
I made every sandwich just like it was my own.
Yeah. You're a sandwich artist.
That's sandwich artist, 100%. I have been my whole life.
Yeah.
So I started working there. Man, I wanted to go to culinary school right out of high school, but my parents said absolutely not. Get a college degree, and then you can go to culinary school.
Yeah.
So I always loved being around food. My mother's a great cook. My grandmother's great cooks. Spent a lot of time in the kitchen, just poking at things. So started there. Worked there for 7 years. I cooked every Sunday on the pizza oven. I did prep. I managed. I waited tables. I thought I was going to own Pazzo's Pizza one day.
Yeah.
And then actually a guy that I fired, you remember Drew Taylor?
Yeah, I know Drew.
Yeah. So Drew hit me up and he's like, hey, I'm at a restaurant in Dallas. You should come out here and see what restaurants really are. And I was like, man, I work at Pazzo's Pizza. Good. I know Texas. What are you talking about? I got this. And it was funny. I was dating a girl at the time, and I knew she wanted to move to Dallas, and I was like, man, I need to do something, or she's gonna leave me.
Yeah.
So I went to Nick and Sam's Grill in Uptown.
I remember when that opened.
Yeah, 100%. I went in there, and it was the nicest restaurant I'd ever seen in my entire life. Mind you, this is the Grill.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Man, we didn't grow up going to steakhouses. We didn't go to fancy dinners. We just, I was a triplet boy. We cooked at home and ate at home.
Yeah.
We grew up so similarly. I had a service job as a junior to senior year of high school at El Chico.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was a server at El Chico.
Yeah. On 35.
No, the one right there by Sonic that was at 2499 Morris.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Which
I forgot they'd opened that one. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there was only
So did everybody else in Flower Mound.
Yeah.
Clearly, our service was great. No. But we only had, going to your point on food, I had no experience on that side either. We didn't have a single. Well, we had Salerno or Grotto at the time, was probably the closest steakhouse, and then it was El Chico Village Grill. We had maybe 4 or 5 restaurants.
Sonic.
That's it. Sonic.
Yeah.
We just blow up Sonic and Wendy's.
Yeah. So even at that point, I was 20, 25, 26. Dude, I'd never been to a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
And I sat down with the AGM there, a guy named Dustin Myers, who, to this day, changed my life. You can change people's life in an interview, by the way. That is one thing I truly believe. Interview. So I said, sorry.
No, I think, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's funny you said. It's something I was talking with my wife about literally within the last week is there are sentences that you say, small little snippets that you'll say to your kids or to your employees or to your friends or to each other or whatever, little tiny things can make such a huge impact, and people don't realize how meaningful some of these words are. Like
100%.
little things. So to your point in interviews,
It's
like
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So man, I sat down with this guy, super sharp dressed, well spoken, nice suit. And he came down and started interviewing me. And very, very quickly, I realized that I did not know anything. I mean, literally nothing.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there like trying to find something. So what do you know? I'm like, I'm not really sure.
Give me a reason to hire you.
100%.
When you spread the sauce, if you go counterclockwise, it actually gives better coverage. And
Yeah, I like cooking pizza.
I forgot you know the pizza.
Hey, listen, I'll get into my hospitality stuff whenever you want.
Yeah. So, man, I'm sitting there, and he says to me, he goes, man, I shouldn't hire you to be a busboy. And I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And he said, but your friend Drew has vouched for you. He's done a really good job here. We're going to bring you on. So he started me off as a server. And
Nice.
yeah, I was the worst server on the floor. There's 36 servers on the floor, and I was the worst
Wow.
by like quite a bit.
This is at
This
Grill,
is at Nick
not
and,
Nick
yeah,
and
this is
Sam's.
at Nick and Sam's Grill. In
The
Uptown.
Grill. Yeah, okay.
You remember that?
I remember
on the
that
corner
home.
there?
Yep.
Yeah, those brunches, dude. They were wild.
Brunches. That's what I
Wow.
remember.
Absolutely.
Well, I remember because we were living in Uptown at the time. Nick and Sam's was like way too nice for
Way
our
too
budget.
nice.
And
Yeah.
so I was working at the Crescent. I was like, I don't have any money.
Yeah,
so
that was-
it's like the Grill was like, oh, we can afford a lunch there maybe, but
Yeah.
So I'm rocking 11 shifts a week there. So literally, it's like only throughout. I had Tuesday off and Sunday night.
Wow.
And I lived in Denton, so literally I'm driving like it's an hour
That's
and
a
a half.
haul.
Dude, it was a haul. Late
That's a
nights,
haul.
dude. Late nights
Yeah.
and early mornings. I put 45,000 miles on my car the first year.
yeah.
Good Lord.
And so I'm just working all the time, getting like better just by the most incremental. Like, you know, guys are saying words to me and I'm like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, go ask your bartender, idiot.
Aioli.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Dude,
You mean
exactly.
mayo?
Yeah. It's like, sir, I don't know. Greyhound is not on our menu. It's like, it was bad. So about 2 months into it, we get a new GM. And she just sees me there. I'm there every single day, all day. I don't leave because I can't go anywhere on my break. And so she's been there a week. And she walks up to me. She's like, hey, you can bartend, right? And I go, yeah. And I only drank double whiskey and Coke. I'd never had literally anything else in my life, like a beer. And I go, absolutely. And she's like, cool, you know, so we just lost Drew and another bartender. And she's like, you know, we'll put you on lunches and, you know, kind of fill in where we need you. I'm like, yeah, sure, great. So go to the bookstore on my break and buy a bunch of bartending books. Because when I say I knew nothing.
Yeah.
My first...
And this was kind of before the time where you could access like drinks on your phone real quick. I
No,
mean, this is
none of that.
We're older, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
is
wasn't around.
you got to know, or you got to have
Yeah.
like a manual that you can flip to quick to figure out what a Greyhound is.
Yeah, 100%. So that same week that I started, the bar manager gets moved up to the steakhouse. So we lost two guys. They hired me on to be the fourth, and they lost the bar manager. And so we had lost one more to like his dad got injured or something he had to go to. It was just ridiculous. So they had 5 bartenders. By the end of the first week, I was number 2.
There you go. You're moving up that depth chart.
Hey.
Dude. So
Next man up. You just got to be ready.
Yeah.
You know what he was doing? He's cutting the brake lines on the quarterback's car.
for 6 months, I walked into work every day with like the pit in my stomach because I was not good. And this was a very busy place. So tickets on the floor, you got managers yelling at me, you got servers yelling at me. It's like, dude, you suck. You suck. My other bartender, this guy Enrique, who was not a coach in any way whatsoever, was like, you're not very good, man. I'm like, oh, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, for 6 months, I went in there, and honestly, it was nerve-wracking just not being good and getting, you know, just yelled at every
Just
day.
demolished. Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I remember on a Friday night, I'd had my break, I worked lunch, and on a Friday night, it's like 7 o'clock, I walk in, and I'm on the well, and the well starts going, and I wasn't nervous at all. No pit in my stomach. I knew there was nothing in that machine that could come out that I couldn't do and do quickly. I knew there was no servers going to come over. I knew there was not going to be a manager because I could do it. And I remember I look over at Enrique and I was like, he's shaking a cocktail. I'm like, Enrique, am I good now? And he stops and he looks at me and he goes, you're actually not that bad. Dude, to this day, that's my favorite compliment I've ever gotten in my entire life. So dude, that's so it started there. The owner used to come in for lunch, Joe Palladino, came in for lunch every single day, got the exact same thing every single day. And one day he's like, hey, can I talk to you upstairs? And I'm like, yeah, sure. The cleanest eater of anyone I've ever met, like chicken breast, olive oil, avocado, quinoa, nothing else every single day. So I go.
He probably stays in good shape too.
Absolutely, yeah. So I go upstairs, and he's got 2 chili dogs in front of him, and he's like, "Do you mind if I eat?" I'm like, yeah, sure. And I've never seen him eat anything but the cleanest thing ever. And he just woofs 2 chili dogs, and he's like, "I think you should become a manager for us." And I was like, "Man, I'd love the opportunity. Just let me know." So he's like, "All right, you're going to go open Nick and Sam's Grill in the Park Cities."
Okay.
And you're just going to be a bar manager there. And I was like, all right, great, let's go. The day I walk in and he's like, you're the AGM. I'm like, okay, cool. So did that, opened that restaurant. That was the first restaurant I ever opened. I'm at 12 now. And man, dude, I didn't see daylight for like 3 weeks. We would get there at 7 a.m., leave at 1 a.m., literally for weeks on end. Yeah. And man, I learned so much. And then 6 months went by, and they were opening another restaurant in Addison, Nick and Sam's Grill and Look Cinemas. And the other owner, Samir, came to me. He's like, hey, you're going to be the GM there. And I'm like,
let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Worst job I've ever had by like a mile.
Really?
Dude, you had to get in line to bitch at me at that job.
Yeah.
Dude, we didn't have a restaurant operating system because we had to use a system that integrated with the theaters. And then we were serving 3 theaters downstairs, 3 theaters upstairs, and then we had our dining room and giant patio.
What a wild concept.
Dude, dude, we crashed and burned so hard.
Well, when you say that now, because I looked at a spot in McKinney that was like a multi-tiered restaurant, and all I can think about is the logistics of getting the food to and from.
Oh,
like delivering the food with it being at right temp, going up, the multiple stairs or coming down with your dirties.
Dude, it was a logistical nightmare, and nobody knew anything, right? So I'm just going in like, all right, you're in charge of all this. I'm like, great, dude. I had 80 servers, it was just insane. Man, so I remember I got in my car 2 weeks into it. I mean, you literally just had to all right, there's 100 people in line over there. What are they doing over there? Like, they're wanting to complain to me about nothing went right.
Yeah.
I remember I got in my car. And I'm like, I called my chef and I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. I was like, how long do you have to be a GM before you can go apply to be a GM elsewhere? He's like, at least a year. So I went back inside and I hit the year mark there. And I was like, man, I want to go somewhere that I truly respect. There's Neighborhood Services, Nick Badavinas. That was my favorite restaurant in Dallas. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to go there a bunch of times. Dude, so I walked in there and I was like, I want to work here. He was like, who are you? I'm like, I'm this guy. He's like, cool. So we chatted a couple of, 2.5 hour interviews 4 different times. And then finally he was like, okay, I'm going to hire you.
That's awesome.
And yeah, man, dude, I was with him and Flavor Hook for 5 years and got to open up a bunch of restaurants, do a bunch of cool shit, see a bunch of cool shit, work a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And when you're working 90 hours a week for almost a decade in a business, you get to learn a lot about it.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to have that opportunity.
For those that don't understand, 90 hours, because I talk to Morgan about this a lot too. My wife, it's like, I will string together those weeks every once in a while. I don't think people understand how much obviously you do, you put this in. It's
2 work weeks in one, if you're doing the math.
Easy.
But it is so much time. When you're doing that, you really only have time for a little bit of sleep. There's no go home and watch a show at night. There's no you're literally going to bed late, you're waking up early, and you are working all the time. So when I hear people say like, oh, I worked 100 hours last week, one, I'm like, I don't know that it's possible to get to 100 hours in a week. Like I can't do the math, but it is a significant.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah. I learned that sleeping in a movie theater called Look Cinemas.
There you go. Yeah. You understand that though.
Yeah.
So like when people are like casually dropping that, you're like, 100 hours a week is so much work. And there are folks I think that often will think they're working that much until you've lived it like what you've done.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole different animal. You have no life.
Man, you don't. So I would wake up So my boss would call me every morning at 8 a.m. and I would wake up to his phone call. I would get up. I would shower, brush my teeth, do everything, still on speakerphone. Put all my clothes on.
Yep.
Get in the car.
Go.
Drive to the 40 minutes to work. Get there. I'd walk in his office. It would be like 9:30. I'd be like, hey, what's up?
It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Lock the door six nights a week. Like, man, it's a different type of grind for sure.
It is like nothing I've ever experienced. The restaurant world is wild. The hours are wild.
Yeah, dude.
But fun.
Nights, weekends, holidays.
So you did that, and I want to get into opening restaurants since you've had a lot of experience in that, and I've recently gone through it. And it's a grind. There's a lot. I don't know that people understand how much goes into that. So we'll come back to that. But keep going. So you're with Nick.
Yeah. So man, I was with Nick. Got to do a bunch of amazing things. At kind of the end of my career with him, I was at Town Hearth.
Talk about that. That was like the jam.
Yeah, man.
I was going to say, mention the names in that group.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of people watching don't. Some of them know there's restaurant groups, and others just think that's just
Neighborhood Services, Montlake Cut, Offsite Kitchen, Town Hearth. Really, the first one was Neighborhood Services. There was a couple other little ones in there. Desert Racer, Perfect Union Pizza. But yeah, dude, it was. Man, we absolutely killed it and worked hard. The food was great. Service was great. Yeah, dude, Town Hearth was a huge opening for me.
I was going to say Town Hearth. I think is
that was
being a Dallas living in Dallas for the last how many ever years it's been. That was like one of the main. Everybody's mentioning that place. Like that was the go-to 100%. Hot spot.
I remember when we were opening that, Nick set me down, and I was kind of the senior manager / director of operations. And he was like, "Hey man, I need to talk to you." And he set me down. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go outside the company for the GM on this one, and the chef." It's like I'm gonna go to LA. I'm gonna go to New York. I'm gonna find somebody that knows things that we don't know. That are doing it on a higher level to make Town Hearth what I want it to be. And man, we got closer and closer and closer. And what he calls me in again. It's like we're probably 6 months out from opening, and he's like, "It's gonna be you." He's like, "But I want you like ready, absolutely ready." Took me and bought me a bunch of suits. Dude, I didn't drink for 6 months. I went to the gym. Like, man, I was mentally, physically, absolutely just lean and mean, ready to go on that.
Yeah.
And man, it paid off. We did. So my partner Jeff Bekovac was the executive chef there.
Okay.
Yeah. So man, it was me, him, and Nick, and a great team. Yeah. That
from my perspective, to Evan's point, that was, for those that are outside of the North Texas area, that was the jam,
dude. It was like a bomb went off.
Yeah,
So we'd have from Friday night to when we would get there at 9 on Saturday mornings, we would have 100 messages. Wow. 100 messages to just for people trying to get in that day. And we did everything by phone. There was no online booking, no resi, no nothing. Like, it was
wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
Well, and I don't know if my timeline's off just because I didn't start really afford to dining out until certain points. But
so it opened January 2017.
2017. But I remember it, at least for me specifically, and maybe people in our age group, as being like, okay, that was one of the first it was one of the first kind of unique, specific restaurants that kind of started the trend of opening. I don't know the best way to describe it, but kind of very upscale entertainment kind of dining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
You had Nick and Sam's, and you had some of that stuff in Dallas, some of those nicer restaurants. But then Monarchs came, and you started getting some of these other really nice, high end, entertaining.
So that's what we're seeing now. It's
menus.
Now the restaurant business is the entertainment business.
Yeah.
It's a lot more in Dallas just because we don't have lakes. I mean, we don't have rivers. We don't have mountains.
Yeah.
We don't have ski slopes.
Yeah.
Dallas dining is our sport. It is what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing now.
It had the crazy design with the yellow. For those that don't know, it had the yellow submarine in it, right? That's
it was awesome.
That was the shtick, right? And it was, so it was like
chandeliers everywhere.
Yeah, you get that high-end design.
I flooded that restaurant 3 different times because you'd always have to refill the tank all the time, just the evaporation on it. Oh. And so I would sit there, you put the hose in a tank underneath.
Yeah.
And on 3 separate occasions, I would just forget and go into the office and
it's like filling your swimming pool.
Oh, dude! I mean, I'm talking just water coming through the office door. And you're like, the third time, Nick was like, how do we not let this happen anymore? Because it's like when we were open, so it's like literally just wet vacs, shop vacs.
Oh my!
Yeah, there's a lot of fans. People just walking around squishing through the restaurant.
It's
like, what's going on with the carpet?
We cleaned it this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. Town Hearth and you running it changed. I think is where you're going. It changed the dining scene for Dallas.
Yeah,
it was
a huge opening for sure. It's like, and that's kind of just with Goodwins. That's kind of been the closest feeling that I've had being a part of a restaurant where it's like it opens up and you're like,
boom,
whoa, yeah, like this is.
Well, you opened. I want to get to Goodwins because I'm super impressed with what you've done there.
Thank you.
But you've had a stint now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From that. So what did you?
Yeah. So, man, I started getting the itch. I told myself forever, I was like, don't open your own restaurant. Don't just, stay with what you're doing. Man, I was making good money. I was working a lot, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And man, I woke up one day. I remember it. Just like I literally woke up in my bed and I was like, shit, I have to open my own restaurant. And I started thinking about it. That idea that continues to grow.
Yep. The seed was planted.
Yeah, and man, dude, this is where kind of just, just learning life is really going out on your own.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And man, I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so I found the space that I wanted. I was walking into E-Bar, and a friend of mine called me, and he was like, hey, the Blind Butcher space on Lois Greenville just became available. And I was walking into E-Bar, it's my favorite Tex-Mex spot, and he's like, meet me there in an hour. So I go in, and the owner of the building's in there, and I'm walking through and looking at it, and he's like, what do you think?
You have no idea what to look for.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew a lot.
Yeah.
I'd opened 9 restaurants to that point.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to do, American upscale grill bistro, and I'm like, I'm going to open up this window, I'm going to put some mirrors over here, I'm going to do this behind the bar, and I just I'm going through just saying everything I'm going to do, and the landlord's like, great, do you have any money? I'm like, no. And he goes, yeah, okay, we're gonna pass on that. And I'm like, no. So yeah, it's like, he's like, do you have a business model? No. It's like, do you have a deck? No. It's like, what do you have so far? It's like, I have me. So luckily, he saw my resume and was like, okay, like there's something to work with here. Man, so for months, I'm sending him menus. I'm sending him, restaurant decks. I'm sending him the 1,000 different names that I had.
Yep.
And in that same time, I'm working for Nick, who's like, hey, I can't. I can't know that you're leaving and you still work here for a long time. Which I truly appreciate that time because I needed it. Man, and then I went on the finding money, raising money.
Yeah.
Never done it before in my life.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's wild.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like there's so many different types of money. Mm-hmm. There's A money, there's A plus money, there's B money, there's C money.
Yeah.
There's D money.
Yeah.
Then there's like loan sharks.
That's right. Yeah. We're going to break your knees.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much different types of money out there.
Yep.
In the beginning, I had to start with my own money. And I had to go to my parents and ask them for money.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I was $100,000 in, maxed out 3 credit cards, sold my car, like talking to my girlfriend, now wife. I'm like, hey, can I use your car? Yeah, dude. So that part was wild. And man, I got a couple of partners. Who's one of my partners now, a guy named David Cash, owns Smoky Rose Barbecue. And man, trying to put all that together, like project manage the build out, hire the staff, do the training. I had a young chef who didn't really know food, didn't really know how to organize a kitchen.
Yeah.
All the chefs that I'd work with, I'm like, hey, come take this giant leap of faith with me. They're like,
no.
Yeah, they're like, hey, come talk to me in 6 months when you've kind of worked out all the issues.
Yeah.
And they were so right. So yeah, man, finally I remember I called my business partner. I was like, hey man, we're opening today. And he was like, are you ready? And I was like, well, the account balance is negative. So unless you want to put money in there, we're opening today. And he goes, go for it. And that was, February 19th, 2019. Opened Alamo Club on Lois Greenville.
Yep.
I actually mopped the floors there this morning.
There you go.
Yeah, dude, just
hey, you
still
talk about it.
Still grinding.
Dude, it sets me.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that 7 days a week we were open from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. every single night.
Wow.
Lois Greenville is a really bar district. Yeah, so did that. Was there all day, every day. Then COVID hit, and that was like,
Wild.
No one knew what was going on. I was having coffee and my buddy called me and was like, dude, man, I hate to hear it. I'm like, hate to hear what? He's like, that your bar's closed. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. So, man, that was just such a crazy time to get through.
Yeah.
Dude, just with staff and people and everything. Got through that, opened back up, and honestly, we were busy right out of the gate, which was just, I mean, such a blessing. Was able to buy my partners out after that. And then I kind of thought I was going to be in the bar game forever. I'm just like, I liked it. I liked the people. I like it. Made a lot of sense to me. It's easier than running a fine dining town hearth restaurant. Where everyone has to be good, right?
Yeah.
It's like a great restaurant. It's like you have a great host, a great busboy, a great saute cook, a great dishwasher. Like everybody's got to be great. A bar is a little bit different, right? It was kind of Alamo Club's kind of a dive bar. Food's great. But yeah, and then got the opportunity to open another place called Myers Garden. So opened that up. Me and my partner he bought me out of that like a year and a half into it. So I could go do Goodwins. I didn't think I was ever going to do a nice restaurant ever. And then I got a call from David Cash, who was, again, my partner at Smoky Rose. He was like, hey, do you have any interest in the Blue Goose space on Greenville? And I was like,
prime space.
Prime. Yeah. I literally said, me and every restaurant guy in Dallas does. He goes, well, meet me for coffee. Kind of right down the street from it. So I go in there, and of course he has the owner of the building in there. I'm like, oh, cool. Didn't know that. Because the guy says the same thing. He's like, so what are you going to do with my building? I'm like, the same deal. I'm like, American Bistro. So I got out of that meeting, and I called Jeff Beckevac, who's, not only my best friend, but I think one of the most talented chefs that I know that I've ever worked with. I called him and said, hey, if you and me are ever going to do it. So he was Nick's culinary director when I worked for him. So we did kind of all the restaurants together. I called him and he was like, we need to ask my wife. Because he's got 3 kids. So me and my wife, we went to dinner at his house, and they went and put the kids to bed. And then I'm looking at him like, when do we ask? And,
you want me to say this?
Say so we're sitting there, and his wife and my wife, they come back downstairs, and she sits at the table, and she just looks at me and she says, Can I cuss on this?
You cuss.
Yeah, don't fuck this up. So I was like, so that's a yes? And yeah, man, so we, it's funny, so he left his job and showed up to Alamo Club. This was March of 2023. And I walked into Alamo Club, had all his chef stuff, chef jacket on. I was like, all right, what are we doing? I'm like, we're going to go play golf for the next 6 months. So we did. We went and played golf for the next 6 months. And man, just talked about what we wanted Goodwins to be, everything about it. We just trying to be as thoughtful and have an identity as we could. And I think that's where people they get hung up. It's like you get hung up on branding, you get hung up on what kind of chair, you get hung up on trying to make up a story or tell a story. And man, we went into this as just like, man, what food do we really like? What food do we like to cook? What kind of space do we like to sit in? It just really trying to be thoughtful with what we were going to do, because we knew it's like, this might be our only shot. We couldn't think of a name, but I was tired of calling it the old Blue Goose, and we're on the corner of Goodwin and Greenville Avenue. So I was like, hey, we're going to call it Goodwins, just internally, till I could come up with a better name. I had another 1,000-page list. And then Jeff woke up one morning and he called me and he was like, we're calling it Goodwins. And I was like, okay, thank God. I was like, I don't know what it's called.
That's a check off the box. We got that done.
And man, we opened, let's see, when did we open? We opened May 21st of 2024. So we're just a little over a year old. And man, it's been everything I hoped and more.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, it's the neighborhood has put their arms around it. We've got just great attention, like we were kind of talking about earlier. We've got a great staff. We've got a great team. We've got great food. We've got great atmosphere, the cocktails. But man, I couldn't be prouder with kind of what I think we're doing there right now. I do think we're as, we're getting better every day, but I'm very happy with what we've been able to do.
No, it's wildly impressive.
Thank you.
It's funny because you talk about you can going through that process, and it's very top of mind because we just went through this and are kind of going through it. But you're right. Like you pick out the chairs, you pick out the food, you go through what you want. And then for me, I don't know if you have this experience. It's like you open the door and it's like, this thing's going to take on a personality. And at least from my perspective, you're like, you've got it to this point where everyone's here and all the staff is training and you've got the space and you've got the food, the menu put together. And you're like, what is this thing actually going to be? Like what is it going to take on?
So I would say it's like whenever you're opening a restaurant, we used to do this with Nick. We'd go sit in the restaurant for hours and hours and hours before it opened, and we just kind of sit there and look at it. And when you open, the customer now owns the restaurant.
100%.
Right? So it's like, you can have, your chef can have, these are my favorite 10 menu items.
Yep.
If the customer doesn't order any of them,
that's right.
They all go away.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, this is our favorite cocktail. This is going to be our signature dish, our signature cocktail.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best.
And it doesn't sell.
No, and the customer really, and you have to listen.
Yeah.
Right? You have to listen to what the guest, how they're steering your business, how the P-Mix is steering it.
Yeah.
You got to listen to them, and you got to be thoughtful. And, when you need to pivot, you need to pivot.
Yeah.
Quickly.
That's what's so cool about being a non-chained restaurant is like, you have these chains that will roll in, and I'm not against chains. I eat at like Texas Roadhouse every once in a while. But
so good.
Kids love that place.
They do love those rolls. They just get
the little machines to play games. I think that's why my kid likes it.
But it's funny because those move into a spot and there's no deviation. Their plan is the plan, and it is what it is, and they're going to make sure that their model fits the neighborhood. But to your point, like, and I've seen this with the Barrel a lot, like, you do have to adapt to what your guests want, and you do become, and we are there to serve. So you're serving the community for what they want. And so I think what's driving a lot of the success with these kind of, I'm not going to call them smaller, but more local chains is that they can pivot and they can be unique and they can change them.
We're a go-kart.
Yeah.
If I need to take a left turn, no problem.
Yeah.
Swerve back to my right, no problem. U-turn, no problem.
Yeah.
Man, and it's we focus a lot on the neighborhoods. Like Goodwins, I wanted to be two things. I wanted to be a neighborhood restaurant, number one, and then a big city restaurant, number two.
Very hard to blend that.
Well, it's like neighborhood restaurant. Come in on a Monday, split a burger, and get a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Come in on a wet Tuesday night, grab a pasta.
Yeah.
You got friends in town.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night, you need a restaurant to go to. Come get a steak. Come get a piece of halibut. Get a nice bottle of wine. Go to Goose Bar in the back afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like I really wanted to be both. I wanted to have it. So kind of how Goodwins is set up. We've got kind of a main bar area.
Mm-hmm.
Great to dine at. Fun to just kind of hang out, grab drinks. Main dining room. Right. Lights are a little up. Music's a little down. Good for friends, family. Mom and dad are in town.
Yep.
And then we've got Goose Bar in the back, which instead of just doing more dining room tables, we just did another bar.
Yeah.
Right. But one that's lights are down, music's up, really just kind of feels like a party.
Yeah.
So just giving, our goal for Goodwins is like we wanted to give people as many opportunities to use us as possible.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you can go high end on the menu, you can go low end on the menu.
Yeah.
Right. You can come in yoga pants and you can be dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
You can come in for a quiet beer on a Monday night. You can come in and absolutely get rowdy on espresso martinis on a Saturday.
Yeah. Well, you nailed it. And
I was going to say, yeah, you part of what you were just talking about where you plan and then you open and you see what happens there, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And a lot of guessing. Right. And I think you guys nailed it in that particular area because I live in Lakewood. And so it's like, we talked about this, like where in Lakewood do you go for like a good steak? You can't.
Nowhere.
There's nowhere to go. I mean, there's Hudson House is
Goodwins,
obviously,
baby.
Yeah, Hudson House was popular, but it's not like known as a steak restaurant, right? So then you're kind of going in. We talked about this, and it's like, where do you go? And I said, you nailed it right there, right? And then exactly what you're talking about, having somewhere nice to go. Again, there's only a handful of places around that area that Lakewood, Lake Highlands, east side of Dallas can go to without having to go into Park Cities or Uptown or whatever. And sometimes we've got kids, we don't really want to drive all the way to Park Cities or something to eat dinner.
And that was the kind of the thought was we had a lot of people in the neighborhood that were just like, hey, be super price sensitive, make sure you're great for families, plenty of high chairs, and we thought a lot about that. We actually have a ton of kids that come and dine with us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, we knew the east side has kind of grown up a little bit. We knew people, if they had a nice place closer by, that we would kind of get that crowd.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back into it. It's like, when you're thinking about a restaurant, just think about your guest.
Yeah.
Who are they? What do they want? What are they looking for?
Is there a gap that you can fill? Like, is there something that's underserved?
Look for a hole in the market.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm looking at a restaurant space, I'm looking around saying, who's the customer? Who's our target? And what are the holes?
Yeah.
Location wise, you probably didn't have to think too much about it because there's a ton of traffic, so you're good there.
Well, I try and tell people, it's like, pick a place where people's cars know how to get. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Pick a place where it's like, when you just say it out loud, it's like, oh, we're right off Mockingbird off 75. People are like, okay, cool. I know where that is.
Yeah.
It's when you're saying roads that people don't drive on because they don't live in that neighborhood and they don't get back in there. It's like, that's when you have a little bit more trouble. But it's like, we're in a location where it's like, you could just say it out loud. Like, you could tell my dad that lives in Flower Mound and be like, I'll go up 75 and turn left on Mockingbird. Yeah, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's always goes something. That kind of same thing with Town Hearth. People were like, why would you go into the design district? And it's like, well, man, get on 35 and take a right on Oaklawn.
Yeah.
And you're going to run into it.
Yeah.
Get on 75, go Woodall Rogers and exit Riverfront and take a right, and you're going to run into it. And just like your car kind of knows how to get there without Google Maps, without a lot of things. So that's when you're picking a location.
Well, dude, I'm thinking about y'all's. Obviously, building was legendary. It's been there forever. When I think about that spot, because we looked at some stuff in Lakewood, and in full, humble disclosure to this, I was nervous as hell for that area because there is some serious competition there too. So,
absolutely.
Like, you went out there and you were like, I'm going to compete with the big boys. I mean, Quarter Acre. I don't think Quarter Acre was there. Quarter Acre was there when you opened. And
right around
Sister,
the same time.
Like there's
Sister. You got Beverly's.
There's great cocktail. There's great bars. So like, you have to really know your shit, and you do, and you've been very successful. But that's for someone like me that's thinking about, like, how do you expand restaurants and where do you go? It's like, you better be damn good if you're going to move into an area like that and your competition is Goodwins or right.
I mean, like I said, kind of dining in Dallas is a sport.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when a new place opens, you're going to see the same 500 diners that go to every single new opening.
Yeah.
And man, if you're not ready for it, day one,
they're going to tear you up.
They're going to eat you alive, and you're not going to make it. Like you don't get the hometown crowd. You don't get, we love that it's quiet every Monday and Tuesday. Like, no,
right.
Like people don't want to go to slow restaurants.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if the food and the service is good. They don't want to go somewhere that a bunch of people aren't.
Yeah.
Right? They want to go out and say, all right, everybody's here. I made the right decision.
Yeah.
So it's, man,
I got a reservation. It was, I had friends when you guys opened, it was just like, oh, we should go to Goodwins. Well, I can't get a reservation.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's busy. That's good.
Yeah. And, for us, it's not about being busy on Friday and Saturday. It's about being busy on Monday.
Yeah.
It's like,
for sure.
Like, it's a big space.
Yeah.
Like, I need people to be in Goose Bar for people to want people go in Goose Bar.
Yeah.
I need a lot of people in the dining room for people to be like, okay, this is where we go on Monday nights. I need the bar to have business at it. Be like, okay, I can come here for a steak when my wife's out of town or my husband's out of town or friends, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. The way we kind of talk about that, I don't know if you have the same thing. It's like, the weekends are where all the money is made, like the large amount, obviously. Like, I don't even know if it's 50% of your weekly sales happen on Friday and Saturday. So it's some huge percentage.
Literally right at it.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the other times are what make you have a fundamentally healthy business. And so, like, we mess with that all the time. It's like, what kind of special, and everyone hates the term special, but what can we offer during those off times? Because, again, having it busy, providing value, you're effectively marketing the other days to then get them to want to still come there and support you on a Friday.
100%. So it's like Alamo Club on Lois Greenville.
Yeah.
It's a ghost town during the week for dining. Mm-hmm. So it's, man, we have to have program. I host bingo on Thursday nights.
There you go.
It's
nice.
Working on my bingo lingo. Yeah, we do trivia on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we do service industry on Tuesday night. Like, you got to have something going on. Because, again, it's like the restaurant business is more entertainment business now than it ever has been.
Man, that collision of entertainment and dining, you're right. Like, it's that we talk about all the time. I think that's why some of these, like in my area, local restaurateurs do so well, is because they do a great job of providing more than just dining. In fact, what's wild, I don't know if you see this in your restaurants because you have such a solid chef, and I think we do too. We do. And what's crazy about it is you'll leave restaurants now, especially as a restaurateur. I'm not even critical of the food anymore, hardly at all, because some of the culinary stuff has just been, it's up there. It's really, really good. It is all about the ambiance and the experience. It's so heavily driven by that.
I always tell managers this. It's, well, here's a couple of great quotes. Like, what's your favorite restaurant? It's No, it's the one that you're known the best at.
Yeah.
Right. And that has really nothing to do with food service and atmosphere. It's like wherever you're known the best, wherever people make you feel special.
Yeah.
It's people now, instead of, they're not worried about spending the money because they're automatically going to do that.
Yeah.
If I spend $100 a person on a Tuesday night and go, I'm going to do that wherever I go.
Yeah.
So it's all about where people want to spend their time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, where is my time going to be the best spent?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, appreciated. Where do I feel cool? Where do I like to be? It's, if you want to be at a place where you see a bunch of other people because you feel like you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so much different than just food and service.
Yeah.
I used to always say, it's like, why is your restaurant slow? Bad food, bad service.
Yeah.
Why are we not getting busier? Make the food better, make the service better.
Yeah.
And while that's true, now there's just so many different things that go into it. It's like,
no doubt.
We talk about attention. It's like, man, an Instagram picture can set your restaurant off.
Yeah.
How you respond to
So-
trolls. Like,
yeah.
I mean, just anything can really impact your business. And just kind of, and if you're not thinking about it and you're not paying attention to it, it's you're either growing your business or you're slowly dying.
Yeah.
Like one of the two.
Yeah, you're always in motion. You're never flat. You're always in motion. And I think it's a kudos going to the service side. Your restaurant is a reflection on your personality completely. So it's a very successful restaurant. So kudos to your personality.
Yeah, and so you try and do things in your own image, and I would say it's like Goodwins is the best pieces of my personality. But man, it's always a work in progress.
Well, you've done a tremendous job, and frankly, I don't know if people know this, but like when I was opening up Barrel, you came up there early on and you saw the construction zone. Talk about not knowing what you're doing. That was me for sure on the Barrel. Took over a spot that didn't even have a kitchen, so I had to build a kitchen, but not looking at the space, didn't know. But you helped me tremendously, even though you probably don't realize it, with just little. I think we had an hour-long conversation or so, and we were looking at the space, and you had suggestions, and I took that very seriously, and I appreciate that. And recently, opening up Mexican Oak, you came up there and talked to our bar staff and participated in some of that stuff. So, like, the hospitable side of you, even doing things like coming and helping me, translates to your guest at your restaurants. It's just the way you are. Like, you're a person. Well, man, it's always been that way.
What I tell my managers is, somebody made Dustin Myers flipped a switch in my entire life in an interview.
Yeah.
Man, he gave me ambition that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
Somebody did that for me. It's our job to do it for other people.
Yeah.
Period. If you're a manager, your job is to make people better.
Yeah.
Your job is to make the business better.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody can run a shift. Anybody can clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
It's all the other things. It's making people better. It's making a business better. That really, it's like, I try and think about it. I had great coaches.
Yeah.
It's like, man, Nick Bodavians is probably the best coach I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're obligated. Someone did that for us.
Yeah.
So now our obligation is to do it for other
Man,
people.
that is so transcendent too, because that applies to any company and
Every business.
Yeah, anyone that's listening to this needs to take that. Like, I think it's something that we try really hard to do with our teams. The restaurants are great because they're like ground level. I like to say like it's where the buck stops. It's where someone spends their money. But in terms of like building culture, you have your whole team working in a very tight area, close proximity, a lot of people with a lot going on. So you fundamentally at the ground level get to see like the stresses and very micro, bursts that go on, whether it's like a well bartender or whatever. You get challenged all the time in that. So like,
it's unbelievable.
It is.
It's unbelievable.
Keeping your cool, trying to help and support and understanding what our roles are as owners and managers and things like that, is to do just that. Like that's why I expanded restaurants. I didn't do it because I wanted to go have another restaurant. I did it because I have a team that deserves the opportunity to grow. And I know that if I don't grow, they're going to go to other opportunities.
100%.
They deserve them.
Yeah.
And so my look in the mirror moment was, I've got a great team. How do I help them achieve more, whether it's making more money or more responsibility, or maybe they want to build a reputation, whatever it is. So yeah, we try to use that there, and I think it works across air conditioning businesses and other businesses too. It's like it's all about the team. It's all about growth, and then not limiting that person's growth potential.
Or just personal life, kids, family, anything like that.
100%.
You can apply it to everything.
So it's like I think about it too. It's like my job. What's my job as an owner, right? Fill every gap that I can.
Yeah.
Whether if it's in the shift, run food, talk to a guest, whatever. But it's like my real job is to create opportunity
Yeah.
My real job is, how do I make the restaurant better so it can make more money so the dishwasher can get a raise?
Yeah.
How do I make the restaurant better so we have better training that I can make the dishwasher a line cook?
Yeah.
And I can make that line cook a sous chef, and that sous chef an executive chef.
Yep.
How do I take that server and get them into management, or they decide to go do something else that's going to better their lives?
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's my job.
Yeah.
And how I look at it. And, it's like, I know my partner Jeff looks at it the same way. It's like, our job is to make the business better so we can take care of our people better.
Yeah.
And grow.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I want to grow just like the server that, is 21 years old and
Yeah. Wants to become a bar manager.
But it's also like, our job is to motivate and try and get people to find ambition that they didn't know they had.
Yeah.
We put a lot of pressure on our staff. Like, I would say we're not an easy company to work for at all.
Yeah.
Man, we expect a lot when you come in. We expect you like looking good, sounding good, ready to play.
Yeah.
Man, you don't get out of training if you don't know everything.
Yeah.
You're not a line cook if you can't cook. Like, we expect, it's like, I always tell people, it's like, you don't have to be 100%, but you have to be an A when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
And if you're not an A because of you stayed out too late,
Yeah.
You just weren't ready, whatever it is, we just don't take a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
And that's, that can be hard for a lot of people.
Well, I think it's you're making me think about the personalities that kind of the quilt that makes up or the fabric that makes up that quilt. And it is the other thing about restaurants, when you talk about people and having the A team, servers are a completely different personality than a line cook.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Different culture.
The management style of the collective group is wildly different, because what a server needs is wildly different than what a busser needs, or a bar back or a bartender even. And that's something that the ground floor experience of managing that many different personalities of sets of people is challenging. And if you master it like you have, it's amazing to watch come together.
Here's
different mindsets too.
They're different mindsets, different management
One's
styles.
putting on a show, the other's in the back creating something.
One thing that I've seen that kind of ties all that together is people want to do good work.
Yes.
They want to know that the work that they're doing is making a difference.
Yeah.
If it's the line cook cooking a piece of halibut, he wants to know when that person, when they put it in their mouth and they say, man, this is fucking badass.
Yeah.
He loves that.
Yeah.
That server that suggested that halibut or scripted it and served it and put it on the table, and that guest says, man, that's badass.
Yeah.
Like, people, they want to go home and they want to go home and say, I did a good job today.
Yeah.
If you give people good work to do, they will stay and they will want to do a good job. If you don't care about the service, if you don't care about the food, if the fish is a little old, if you're not trying to give people the best tools and opportunity to do a good job, that's when they leave.
Yeah.
People actually, like, I always tell managers, people want to be managed.
Yeah.
They want to walk in the door and be like, hey, you're not doing this right. Let me show you a better way to do it.
Yeah. Teach them.
Hold them accountable.
Well, and it goes back to that pit in your stomach you were talking about when you were at the bar, right, at Nick and Sam's Grill. Like, that pit feeling everyone has at some point in starting a new role, the goal is to eliminate that, right? You want to help develop them and train them to where that feeling isn't there. Because that feeling, and I have it going into service now because I'm not, I haven't done this my whole life. And so I get that a little bit sometimes, and you probably know what I'm talking about. But like, when you show up to a service as an owner or manager, whatever, any role, you walk in going, okay, I'm on, here we go. We're going to do stuff every shift.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is to give enough experience, coaching, whatever, to get past that point where, to what you described, you start feeling very confident.
Yeah.
And watching someone turn that corner from nervous, call it relatively unprepared, to mastering their craft or whatever. Awesome.
I love watching.
Awesome.
I love watching somebody that was just so timid in the beginning and just so unsure and not sure how to do things. And you can fast forward a year.
Yeah.
And they are stone cold killers.
Yes.
So I also too is like, I would much rather hire a C+ or a C that wants to learn, wants to be managed, wants to take criticism any day of the week than hire an A that
the culture
doesn't
killer.
want to listen to anybody, doesn't care, maybe they're tall, handsome, fast, whatever, can sell the specials. It's like that C- will be better in 6 months if you put a shine on them than that A that just has a bad every single time. Every single time.
Yeah.
And there's a million C's
right
that you can hire.
That's right.
And better for the organization, right? Typically, the A's will infect the other ones.
Yes.
Right?
Rule number one, and in any business, hire good people.
Yes.
Not like good at what they do, genuinely good people.
Yes.
That always is going to come out in everything that they do.
Yeah.
Period.
So much easier said than done. But the most important thing, that's what we talk about all the time with the Nick Saban stuff. We're like, his whole thing was get the right people on the bus, and ultimately culture gets created out of, we can do so much from the top to push down what we, the supporting and things like that. But ultimately, those conversations happen at, with peers. And so you got to make sure that the right peers are there having those conversations and wanting to get better. Because once you start getting a bunch of A-teamers that kind of fizzle for whatever reason,
well, it's like, man, it
creates bad.
It's you're doing the same thing day in and day out. And it's like, giving people philosophy and the why, and it's always so important because that can sustain them. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, life is fucking hard.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
For every guest that walks in our door.
Yes.
For every employee that we have. That's one thing I love about restaurants. It's like a restaurant you can go in and transport you to a different time, a different place. You can leave your worries at the door. You can just go in and forget about everything and create an experience. But it's hard, man, because at the end of the day, it's like, man, we're in a people business.
Yeah.
We're not selling T-shirts.
Right. We are in the business of where, like I said earlier, where the buck stops too. And I think that's the most, we talk about it all the time. It's like, you've got to appreciate that this is like what we would talk to the staff about. It's like, you've got to appreciate this is where people's money that they have earned that they are going to part with for good.
Do not take it for granted.
Don't take it for granted.
Do not take it for granted.
It's
Any
a big
day
decision.
of the week. It's like you're choosing to go somewhere. It's like Goodwins isn't easy to go to. We're expensive. There's not a lot of parking. You're not going to get the reservation time that you want. You can't come in with as many people as you want. Like, man, we're in my opinion, like a hard business to use.
Yeah.
And man, if you for a second let the guests know that, you're just not into it that day or don't really care that day, they're gone.
That's it.
I'm going to have to get rolling here, boys.
That's it.
I got a little, I got a manager meeting.
No, totally good. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Dude, unbelievable.
Spending time with us. And dude, kudos to the success. And you are going to continue to grow a bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, man, we signed we're super excited about this. We signed a lease right down the street from us on Greenville Avenue.
Love
so
it.
I kind of have a goal. I want to I got a dive bar at one end. I got an upscale American in the middle. And we got a third big restaurant going down not even a mile down. I want to build a wall of restaurants in East Dallas that just tells all the other restaurants.
I love it.
Hey, don't come over here.
Yeah.
You don't want this smoke.
Yeah.
Hey, it works.
Well, I'm looking forward to that one. Can't wait.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, dude, it's so good to catch up, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come,
I'm
come meet
just,
with us.
Just driving here, just thinking about just growing up and all that, seeing you and everything that you've done, and just what we were doing in when we were kids.
How are we here?
I don't know, man. Dude, I don't,
you know what? It's those teachers we talked about earlier that kept us on track.
Thank you, Miss Davis. Thank you, Mr. Batter. We appreciate you. Guys, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, dude.
Thanks for jumping on.
Unbelievable.
See ya.